Amor de Luna. My name is Crystal. I'm a relationship coach for women, and I teach you how to attract a provider and protect your husband using neuroscience and biblical principles to become the woman that's going to attract your dream husband. So today we're going to talk about the relationship standards worth keeping. Now everyone talks about standards, whether you have high standards or too low standards, but it's really about if you have the right standards. Now, the right standards for you would probably be different from the right standards for me. So you have to really know what it is that you're looking for in the first place when it comes to the standards that you want for your husband. But I'm going to tell you the standards that are actually worth keeping. Number one, character. A man's character, anyone's character, is so vital to vet someone on if you're going to marry them, because who you are behind closed doors and when no one is watching, that's part of your integrity and your character. That's just who you are. How you do one thing is how you're going to do everything, right? When you start dating in the initial phase, that honeymoon phase, men will put their best foot forward just as you would. You're going to show the best parts of yourself because you're excited. The dopamine in your brain is firing up. The oxytocin in your brain is also firing up. So you're getting a lot of reward and happiness spikes. So you're going to be your best version of yourself when you're around this person until your hormones normalize, the butterflies go away. Then you're left with who you guys really are when those happy hormones aren't at such a high. So when it comes to character, what is important to you? For me, honesty was an important thing. Integrity was an important thing. If a man has integrity, you're gonna do right because it's just who you are. It's part of your integrity. It's part of your reputation. Another thing was accountability and follow through. You know, I was really looking for a husband that when he said he was gonna do something, he did it. He followed through with it and not just told me he was going to do something and then just kind of let it kind of just go up in the air and hoping that I wouldn't notice. I wanted someone, if they said they were going to do something, especially when it came to big life decisions, finances, jobs, children, that he was going to follow through on that just as I would. And so that was something important to me. You got to figure out what's important to you when it comes to character. Is it honesty? Is it loyalty? Is it kindness? Is it family oriented? That was another one on mine because I wanted a family. I wanted children. So I wanted to attract a husband that also wanted children. It wouldn't make sense for me if a man didn't want any kids and then we started dating and because we like each other, we stay together. Like, that's going to be a problem later on. And that's why I think character is what you build your foundation with in a marriage, because who you guys are as individuals is going to reflect how your marriage is as a couple. When it comes to growing your marriage, it's not just you guys grow as a couple. It's he grows, you grow, and you guys then by default grow as a couple because you guys complement each other. It's not about needing one another. It's about complementing each other. So you have to work on the things that you got to work on. He's going to work on the things that he's going to work on. And so that's why follow through and accountability was a big one on mine, because I didn't want a man that was not willing to grow and change and improve himself. You know, because I was always going to encourage that. I was always going to do that for myself. So I wanted a husband that was going to complement that, that was going to want to grow and flourish and dream and challenge himself and have the humility to admit when he was wrong and do something about it. That was the biggest thing for me. Second one is emotional maturity. So I'm not talking about emotional intensity, okay? Like intense emotions of love or intense emotions of caring. I'm talking about emotional maturity, them knowing themselves and getting to know you and regulating their emotions. Now, no one is perfect at this. You know, none of these on this list is you're going to find a man that's going to be perfect with all of these standards. It's just looking at the character and looking at the follow through of growth is that's why character is the main foundation of the marriage, because no one is going to be perfect at these standards. But as long as that there's a foundation already set and he's working on it, that is worth investing your time and attention to. If a man's not working on himself and he actually has none of these standards, and it might not be a match. Emotional maturity is, can they communicate when there's something wrong? Or do they shut down and not want to communicate at all? Can they apologize? Can they take responsibility? If they mess up, do they admit that they mess up and take accountability and change it? Or do they throw it all back on you? You know, you can actually start to see this once those emotions go down and you actually start seeing some challenges in your relationship. You can actually see, how do they handle conflict in your first argument? You get to see, how does he handle the anger, frustration, sadness in the argument? And so, you know, does he actually want to talk it through with you? Does he tell you when he doesn't want to have a conversation anymore? Does he tell you, or does he like lash out? You have to evaluate the emotional maturity here, because how he handles conflict is going to reflect later in marriage. People think that marriage will fix things or maybe move things along, but it heightens it. Just like anything, babies, money. People are like, oh, money's the root of all evil. It makes you act differently. No. If you act different when you have money, that side of you was already in there, but the money just allowed you to exemplify that. Same thing with children. If you think that children are going to fix the situation, that only heightens what's already there. Issues, the beautiful things, any conflicts, it's going to heighten it. And so does marriage, because now you guys are working together on a whole different level of commitment. So any red flags in dating will turn into black holes in marriage. The third one is consistency. Now, we've already kind of talked about this with character and like follow through and accountability, but consistency is how you build confidence. If you want to build trust in a relationship, whether that's within yourself, with your partner, who you're dating into marriage, you need to see consistency. Is he consistent in what he does? Words, actions, reliability. You shouldn't have to wonder where you're at when it comes to him and his commitment level. If you're wondering, if you're constantly asking yourself, what are we? Where is he at with this? What is going on? Like, are we taking it slow? Are we, being serious? This man might not be a match for you, okay? Because he doesn't have clarity and consistency with showing you that he's serious and having the conversations necessary to build trust that this is going somewhere. For example, when my husband and I started dating, we had a mutual understanding at our first date that because we had feelings for each other, we would test the relationship. Okay, because we both were dating to marry, not to just date, just to date. We were wanting to be in a relationship that was serious. He was almost 2 years single on a singleness journey where he was very intentional about not dating, not talking to anybody, just focusing on himself and God. And for me, I had been previously married. And so for me, I was not interested in just dating just to date. I wanted to make sure if I was going to spend time with somebody else, then it was going to be as a commitment. I didn't want to do the whole dating and sleeping around and all of that. Because we had that understanding, our stance on it was that we were going to go on dates with the intention of getting to know each other more, talking more about our values, because we had already talked about it in our first date, but talking a little bit more and seeing if it made sense to then be in a relationship for a short time before we got engaged. And in that short time that we were in a relationship as a boyfriend and a girlfriend, we would test our relationship, be in different scenarios, see how we were with arguments, see how we were with introducing each other to our families, doing our lifestyles together, just really being able to test the relationship, shake it up and see what's the character underneath, what's the integrity underneath, after all the fuzzy feelings calm down. Then in engagement, we had already agreed to go to premarital counseling to further challenge the relationship, have hard and tough conversations and questions, have someone in our faith to really ask us as individuals and as a couple, if we were really ready for this commitment together. So that way, when we entered marriage, we were 100% committed and confident that this is what we wanted. Number 4, shared values and vision. So we just kind of touched on this. Faith, family, politics, marriage, purpose. All of those need to be talked about. I would recommend date 1 no longer than date 3. Why? Because again, when I talk about dopamine and oxytocin, they are bonding hormones. You'll start to bond with this person and start to take a liking to them. So if you guys have different values and direction, that's going to cause a big conflict. Behind finances, it's the biggest reason for divorce is not having not having shared values and vision, because you guys want 2 different things out of life, and it's not fair for one to sacrifice for the other just because we like each other a lot right now. Because eventually those things that are important to us is going to slip out of our fingers, and then we might build resentment towards the other person if we don't get to have those things. So that's why I say date 1. Now I know that's a little intimidating. My husband and I were actually talking to a friend of his who's a single guy, and he wanted some tips on, how to go about dating in a different way moving forward. And we talked about on date 1, talk about faith, family, marriage, politics, purpose on that date 1. And he was like, I think that's a little too early. I think that's a little too fast. That's a little too strong. But guess what? Whenever you have that conversation in the first date, not only is it a very productive conversation, it doesn't have to be crazy, awkward. It's not an awkward question. Honestly, I think it's very refreshing with the right person. If a man hears you asking these questions and he's very off-put or turned off about it, then that's not your person. I'm not saying don't have fun, and I'm not saying sit down immediately, jump into the questions. What I am saying, have fun, get to know each other a little bit, but then really break down hey, can I pick your brain on some things? I'd love to get to know you about, what your opinion is about these things, because you don't want to waste each other's time. This is how people end up in relationships or keep dating people for a long amount of time in situationships, and you guys don't go anywhere because you guys didn't talk about these things, and now you like each other so much you don't want to let each other go, but it's going nowhere because neither one of you want to commit. You need to have these conversations. And at the end of the day, if you guys don't align and you figure out, okay, maybe I don't want to continue dating this person, that's fine. But guess what? You have this really cool, productive conversation that you had, and you get to walk away from that being that was a fun conversation. It's really not something that's awkward or heavy for people usually. Number 5 is accountability. Accountability is so important to build trust alongside consistency. Healthy people own their mistakes. They are able to take criticism, productive criticism, take feedback from you, your boundaries, your standards, take it and not internalize it as a defense, but really being able to reflect where they align, where they maybe went wrong, or maybe where they are not at yet, and are able to then give back to you changes that they're going to make, improvements or boundaries of their own that hey, that doesn't align with what I want or doesn't align with what's in my character, and that gives clarity. But the biggest thing to look for in a man when it comes to having your husband is the accountability factor. Does he own his mistakes? Does he make the effort to acknowledge where he went wrong or where he lacks in certain areas and has a plan to fix it? You need to look for someone, a man that is willing to grow, that is willing to advance in his life. Because with us as a wife and as women, we complement each other in ways where, with our creativity and our drive and our vision, we're able to then push them and inspire them to better themselves in order to, number 1, protect and take care of us, but also to build a family one day together or build something together, whether that's a business, whether that's a community, whatever it is for you guys. But you can't do that with a man that isn't willing to grow or isn't willing to take your feedback and do something with it. But if he always is taking your feedback as a defense, as you attacking him, then that's not going to work either. Number 6 is respect. Respecting your boundaries, your no, your dreams, your time, your body, really being able to respect you. If a man doesn't respect you, what makes you think that's going to change once there's more commitment? That's something that is core standard that you should look for in a husband. That he respects you, respects your body, respects your no, and respects your time. That way you don't become a doormat. You don't have someone that walks all over you or that makes decisions in spite of whatever is going to make you happy. A provider and protector man will make decisions based on what's best for the family, what's going to make you happy, and what's going to really advance you guys forward as a family. If a man isn't able to respect you, that guy is not a protector or a provider, okay? So that's a key thing to look for. Number 7 is peace. This is a big standard, especially for women with a background such as myself, with anxiety, toxic relationship examples, or you being in a toxic relationship, things like that. Peace can seem boring, but it's not boring. It's emotionally safe. Healthy love isn't constant anxiety. Healthy love is not guessing where you stand with people. You don't have to decode mixed signals from a man, whether he cares about you or not, whether he respects you or not. If you have to question, does he see me less than him, or does he think little of me? This is something you need to address and have a strong boundary around, a strong standard around, because if not, if the answer is no, if he's really seeing you as less than, as he made you better, not giving you clear signals as to his intentions with your time and your part in this relationship, then that is not the type of man that you want to make your husband. Now, the reason why I talk about these standards is because these standards are going to make it very clear who your husband is, who you want to spend your time and attention with. Because if he doesn't align with these standards, he's probably not a protector and a provider husband. The standards that I don't think are deal breakers is height, race, career, luxury lifestyle. Those aren't really standards, those are preferences. And the thing is if you go based off your preferences, you might not, actually, majority of the time, you're not going to pick the right husband for you. You're going to pick who you think you want, but then once you're in that relationship, you realize, wow, there's some major red flags here. How did I not see this? Is because you didn't go based off of standards that are important and went after things that are going to change, or he can't change at all, like his hype. So you got to ask yourself, is this a standard of mine, or is this just a preference? Am I protecting my future here, or am I protecting my fear? Am I asking for something I am also willing to give? I am also willing to set as a standard for myself. And does this standard reflect my values? That's why I teach my girls to really create a husband list reflecting what's important for them. And yes, you want a protector or provider husband, but that doesn't mean all of them are the exact same. Maybe the standard is the same for sure. But when it comes to what's important to you, like family or not having kids at all, being able to have a certain career or business, all of those things are going to be different for every woman. And you got to find the protector and provider man that aligns with those values. So number 1, you need standards. If we don't have a standard, if we don't know what we're looking for, we're going to choose whoever feels right, and that's not going to result in you having that protector, provider, husband that you want. How do I know that? Because you're here. You're here watching this video. Otherwise, if you had the provider, protector, husband you wanted, you probably wouldn't look for videos where you can find a man that's different from who you've previously been dating. So don't lower your standards, refine them. Prioritize the qualities that carry on to a successful and strong marriage, not qualities that are just going to start a great relationship. And choose someone whose character is going to stay the same no matter how you guys are feeling in the relationship, because feelings are fleeting. Feelings of love even can waver and change. But if his character is the same and he acts in love, regardless if he feels love or not, you will have those opportunities to rekindle and refine that love. And we'll have different moments in your marriage where you're in love, have love for, absolutely adore and obsess with your relationship. And then sometimes where you just very much care and are frustrated. But because you have the character, you're going to stick it out until you feel that love and adoration again. Because that's the reality of marriage. Your feelings are going to waver. You're not always going to be in love all the time. But if you have the character and you find a man that's a protector and a provider that has the character to work on your marriage, to continue to date each other so you can keep the honeymoon phase alive, that is going to take you out on dates despite whatever he's feeling in that moment, that's going to bring you flowers, that you are going to follow through and take care of him as well in the ways that he needs to feel loved, despite whatever you're feeling, you will have a strong and steady marriage and attract that provider protector man that you want. So I hope this was helpful to you. Share this with someone that it could help, and let me know what kind of standards that you have questions about, whether if it's a standard or if this is more of a preference. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.